You guys ready?
Yeah, come on. Introduce us.
This is the ODcast.
Hey, yo, this is the ODcast. Hey,
Hey!
this is the ODcast. Hey,
Hello and
yo,
welcome
this
back
is
to the
the
ODcast podcast.
Hey.
It's the podcast
This is
about
the ODcast,
art,
yo.
music, and everything in between. Today we have a very in-between episode as we are joined as always by Oscar. Want to say hi?
Howdy, everyone.
And we also have Robert.
Hello.
Two writers. Would you call yourself a writer?
Indirectly? Maybe.
Indirectly? And how about you?
No.
Which is ironic because you've just written a novella.
Yeah, but it's not published yet. Once it's published, then maybe I'll put myself as a writer.
Do you agree with that assessment? I
No.
totally disagree.
I disagree.
Publishing means nothing. You can publish yourself these days.
But even if you don't publish, you can be a really good writer and nobody would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's the
agree.
eternal question, isn't it? Like, are you still an artist if no one ever sees your art? I think you are.
It's that philosophical question. If the tree falls in the forest and no one hears it,
Yeah, that's
did
about...
the tree fall? And the
a lot of
official
things.
answer is the tree didn't fall because there was no witness.
It's Schrodinger's
Yeah.
Schrodinger's tree.
Schrodinger's tree. Schrodinger's tree. I always made a joke to people saying that if I ever get a cat, I'm going to call the cat Schrodinger. Only half of the people get that joke.
See, I just know there is a Schrodinger's cat, but I forget what the experiment was. Or
So
like the
there's like
thought
a-
experiment, right?
It's like a radioactive or poison in the box where there's a cat, and at a random time the vial will break and kill the cat. So at any point in time, is the cat dead or is the cat alive? And it has to do with quantum physics. So if you try to view an atom, and by viewing the atom, you change the behavior of the atom. So it's kind of a thought experiment in terms of what state is an atom in, or an electron. It's Schrodinger's cat.
We maybe should have mentioned Robert is a science guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
A medical professional who
that what
studied a lot more science and biology than we did.
Is that what you're going to call your future child?
Bill.
Bill Nye?
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye Rodkey?
My middle name is William.
Bill Nye William Rodkey.
Wait, so back to the cat, then we'll move on. Like the cat's either alive or dead, right? It could
It's
be
either alive or
or
it's
like
dead,
it's
or
both
it's
at
both,
the same time,
or
right?
it's neither. Yeah.
But once you observe it, you are 100% responsible of it too.
So it's in one state, or
Yeah.
it's in the other
Yeah.
state by observing it.
Yeah.
But when you're not observing it, it's in both states.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like superposition, right?
Yeah, superposition. I've heard that term as well. So you can be a superimposed writer.
I was
artist.
waiting for that transition. I'm like, where's
gotta
he
bring
going
it
to go?
back to
Where's
the
he going to
writing.
go? Where's he going to go?
Okay, let's get back on track because we got limited time waiting
No, we
to
got-
get back to
we
the
got time, we got time.
game 4. Is it of the
Yeah.
NBA Finals?
Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
but trust me, let this flow. We'll be fine.
These two guys watch it. I don't really know what's going on, but we are gathered here for a
Today.
particular reason today for a discussion of the looming threat of AI,
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
especially as it relates to the creative disciplines, namely writing, which is something I've been thinking a lot about because you hear a lot about the AI, like art and like visual art and stuff, but no one's really talking that much about AI fiction writing. And I think AI is just as good at writing fiction as it is doing everything else. It's like astoundingly good.
Yeah.
And you just finished like organizing an AI writing piece.
It would just prompt back and forth. Then I showed it to you on our trip to Vegas, which congratulations, Dylan.
Oh, yeah. I guess we haven't recorded since both of us had some life changes this year, and we went to Vegas in March, and I got married.
Yay, congrats, Dylan.
I guess they're marriage brothers. They got married in the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just copied you.
You have to put
guys.
fireworks.
Too much work. Maybe I will. But yeah, that's when you show me your piece, and you just finished writing the old-fashioned blood, sweat, and tears way, equally, like even longer piece.
Yeah, it took me over a year to finish it.
Which, Robert, you haven't seen the full.
I've just
thing,
seen
right?
a snippet.
first chapter.
Yeah.
You only sent like 2 paragraphs in our text.
That's
our
the
group
first
chat.
chapter, but the paragraphs.
I asked you to send like a couple chapters,
Like,
and you were like very selective with your selection. But you sent me the
You
full
know,
PDF,
I'll
and it
send
was
you the
like
PDF
100.
I'd like that.
I'm a little bit embarrassed because there's a bit of smut in this, and we never had a conversation sexually. So
Well, I think that
yeah,
that's great.
that's great. See,
Is AI allowed to write smut?
yeah, of
Oh,
course, yeah.
But I think the platform holders kind of control how lewd the AI can get.
I thought
Right.
it was.
probably. I'm sure there's parameters. That's the other thing about AI. It's like what can and can't it publish, and are we ever to know what those parameters are? So if you are trying to use AI to prompt writing or anything like that, then you're missing out on a variety of different parameters that, as just a human writer, you have limitless opportunity. And also space. That's the other thing I noticed with the AI.
It has limited space.
Right, it's not going to write you a novel. It's only going to write you however much energy it takes, or however much space it allows for writing.
Question I have with the AI, because you've experimented with it, right?
Yeah.
So I've been told sometimes it takes like maximum a day or 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours to give you what you wanted.
No, it's like instant.
Instant? Okay.
You might
Yeah.
be thinking of like really intensive visual stuff or like video.
No, I heard
can
also
be long.
no, that I think
okay.
you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
But it gets faster and faster. Like the AI field is developing so fast that I wouldn't be surprised if it's as fast as it is for writing, for video, and high resolution images. AI, one of the most mind blowing things is it can generate a playable video game in real time with AI generated, like, it's, I don't know if you would call it code. It's just predicting what the next frame is, but it takes button inputs as if it's a first person shooter or something.
Oh my gosh.
And it's running in real time at a really low frame rate, but there's no reason it wouldn't.
Well, isn't AI ran on graphics processors? So it kind of makes sense. It runs in parallel.
It is, and I'm glad you bring that up because I think we're already, just by saying the word AI, we're going to have, if anyone finds this video and watches it at all outside of our usual audience, there's going to be like immediate haters because of the environmental impact
Yeah,
and
it's
energy costs of
it's,
AI.
yeah.
Right. I was just thinking about that too. I was going to bring that up.
And then, well, there's those people, and then there will be 100 defenders of AI who are defending it as like this incredibly important and valuable human, for now, human-run endeavor.
Right, right. So it's definitely true that anytime if I'm feeling the urge to try something or ask AI something, I kind of get that guilt. It's like, how many kilojoules of energy did I just burn? And
I mean, they said the same thing about mining Bitcoin.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's very, very related. They both use graphics processors, and I don't know. I'm not super educated on the energy costs, but a lot of it can be done locally on your machine, especially if you're using like stable diffusion. Like if you set up an AI interface on your local computer, you're paying for the energy. It's still using it, but you're not like off sourcing it to someone else.
And I'm sure the processing costs will go down as it improves or whatnot. But then there's the other side of the coin. It's an energy problem, right? So we're still solving the energy problem.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to wade too far into like the energy aspect. This is more what I'm visualizing. This is kind of like a John Henry, which would be you, Oscar, against the tunnel drilling machine and the old.
Yeah.
Was John Henry a real guy?
Yeah, it was. He was a real guy. I think he was, right?
yeah, but he ends up having a massive coronary and falling
Yeah.
at the end.
He wins, but he dies. He wins, but he dies.
Does he win?
Yeah.
Because, okay, I mean, that's one of the things we can debate here today. Like, what constitutes winning in art? Arguably,
subjective, isn't
arguably, there is no winning. It's not a competition. But it makes me very curious why, like, what you get out of the experience of working with an AI to create something versus what you feel when you're writing. And are they the same impulse and you're just using a different tool? Because you did a lot of orchestrating. Maybe we should talk a bit about what your piece actually is.
Okay. So,
do you want to introduce it?
So what I decided to do was I used Gemini, which is a Google software, and I just prompted it to give me a story based on the Lord of the Rings, but from the Rings perspective. So it took a couple of like prompt back and forth to fine tune the story to how I thought it should sound, a little bit more like Tolkien instead of like just prose, and it just kind of was like a conversation between me and the software, and the end result was this kind of a short story with addendum that I think we titled it, I think, The Ring Speaks or something like that. The One Ring Speaks.
Yeah, The One Ring Speaks. Did you read much
Yeah,
of it?
I read the whole thing.
I reread it this week as well, and it hit me even more the second time. I feel like the first time when you handed it to me in the airport lounge, I was like so sleep deprived from the weekend that I couldn't even focus. But it's astonishingly well written.
Yeah, it was surprising to me too, and I just was like looking kind of just for shits and giggles, like, oh, I wonder what this will kind of produce. And it was fascinating how it was able to write a story that was really captivating, and it kind of drew you into what the One Ring was kind of thinking as it was being formed, what it was thinking as it was kind of going about the story of the Lord of the Rings, and how it encounters each character and kind of what the ulterior motives of the ring was. Very fascinating.
Now, I haven't actually read the Lord of the Rings trilogy to completion. I made it to the Two Towers, and then I kind of trailed off.
Same here. I finished halfway through the Two Towers, and I stopped.
Oh my god, you stopped at the same place as me.
Yeah, dude, I thought it was boring. I preferred The Hobbit over Lord of the Rings.
Me too. The Hobbit was great,
Yeah.
and I thought the Lord of the Rings would be more of the same, but it's like way more dense.
Oh
The speeches were too much.
Yeah.
It was way too much, and I was waiting for the action, like the ring race. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was waiting for some action from them, and every time they came in the book, it was just it stopped. So it was very anticlimactic, and it bummed me out.
And there's a lot of like drawn out lore and songs.
Yeah. I forgot that Tolkien loves his songs.
Oh yeah.
Is he a musician, do you think?
No, he's a professor. But maybe.
But he could have been an amateur hobbyist. If he's writing all those songs, he might have wanted to sing them.
I think he was a linguist. He liked to learn about how language kind of would build and come together, and obviously he wrote Elvish.
What the heck is his name? I was going to make a joke, but I ruined it now because I don't know the guy's name.
Did it involve the word cunning?
No, it involved linguists. Yeah. So my favorite part of not just remembering from reading that book, my favorite part of Fellowship of the Ring, or Lord of the Rings, period, was just the subtle part where the hobbits go into this bar for the first time, and a bunch of guys pressured the hobbits to sing a song. So they sang the song right then and there. And within just a listen or two, the whole bar sang along with them.
Was this at the Inn of the Prancing Pony?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Reading it was way more entertaining than the movie, that part.
And I don't think they...
Yeah, they didn't sing in the movie.
No,
maybe in the extended edition or something.
Oh. Yeah, because it kind of cuts right into them, like, being like drunk in the pub. I'm sure that
being followed by Strider, right? Strider, right?
Oh yeah.
Wait, so what do you guys think of the
Aragorn.
books versus the movies?
I mean, I like the movies better, but then again, I shouldn't have an opinion, and I never finished the books.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And I mean, the movies is just immediately easily accessible,
Yeah,
captivating.
exactly.
The books is, yeah.
But the Hobbit book is way better than the Hobbit movies, which I still to this day have not seen more than Hobbit 1 part 1.
I mean, it shouldn't be a trilogy. I think we all. It's a small book.
I love how your One Ring Speaks book. I'm going to call it yours because this gets down to the question of ownership with AI, but that wouldn't exist if you weren't painstakingly prompting it.
It's not even like, okay, yes, I hear what you're saying.
Because you told me you like had to individually kind of prompt specific chapters and put them together in sequence, right? It didn't spit out that whole thing in one go.
It spit out the bulk of it.
That's what Gemini sounds like.
Yeah. It spit out the bulk of it, but I didn't like how maybe it wouldn't sound as menacing or it wouldn't sound Tolkien enough.
Right.
And so I would like prompt it to like make it sound more menacing or make it sound more Tolkien. But the bulk, like the heavy lifting is all the AI. Like it put out the story. It was there. One thing that was kind of like, well, AI, you should have known better, because it was when the ring was in the Anduin River for eons, and in One Ring Speaks, it says that Smeagol, who ends up being Gollum, picks up the One Ring, but if you know from the story, it was Deagle.
It was his brother, right?
I'm not sure if it was brother, it's a friend or something.
And then killed him afterwards.
Right.
Which is in the One Ring Speaks.
I had to prompt it to like edit this, like, hey, you remember this guy Deagle?
Okay, wait. So this brings me to a big question I have. Is it drawing from the entire text of the books? Does it know what happens in the movie adaptations?
Right.
You didn't put in the story.
That's a good answer, right?
Yeah.
It knows obscure pieces of lore, it seems to.
Yeah, like it obviously it knows all of the characters, it knows the sequence of events. I didn't prompt any of that. I just said, take me through like all of the different scenes of the Lord of the Rings from the One Ring's perspective. And it did it from forging through the Elvish human battles against the orcs and Sauron, through the kings and the Anduin River, all the way through to Frodo and ultimately its demise at Mount Doom. And I mean, it draws from all of that knowledge. I don't know if it's drawing from the books or the movies, but it seems to have a very thorough knowledge of every aspect, except for Deagle.
Forgot Deagle.
Forgot about Deagle.
I do want to compliment the story because it got me more curious, like wanting more of the dark side of the Lord of the Rings lore. Like I want to know more about Sauron and how he started and how dark can he get. Because, J.R. Tolkien's all about good versus evil.
Yeah.
I want to know how evil can you think? Like how dark can you be?
Like,
how Dante Alighieri can you get with it? And I got a glimpse of it from your story, like hearing like Sauron being called the King of Lies, right, or something like that.
The what?
The King of Lies, or
like he kind of
or the Master of Lies, something like that.
That was an interesting thing from that AI story with the One Ring Speaks, is that in order for one of the creative things it did, I didn't prompt it, but it just kind of developed, was that there's this lie that the ring tells Sauron. The ring thinks that it has its own power and it wants to seek dominion, but it can only do that with Sauron or with somebody on somebody's hand, right? But it tells Sauron that I am just a tool for you, but inside the ring knew that it was just
It was a lie.
It was a lie. He was a master of deceit, and that wasn't just Sauron imbibing his power into the ring. There was also the ring with its own
So
personality.
what you're telling me, again, this is all new to me. Sauron is stronger than the ring.
Well, Sauron created the ring,
Yeah.
so you would think that the creator would be stronger
Yeah,
than
that's true.
its
That's
creation.
true.
Yeah.
But the ring kind of controls him in a way too. In
In my
your
spin-off.
story, your spin-off,
My spin-off.
because like it takes some interesting liberties with the lore. I like the parts about it seeming like it wants to almost fight for the good too. Like it wants to possess Gandalf and Galadriel. Like I don't know if it's
No.
necessarily evil.
No, I think it's still seeking dominion, but anytime it comes across somebody of power, it wants to manipulate that person.
That I got that, but it just feels like it's hungry for power, but not necessarily like Sauron. It's not doing Sauron's bidding.
Right.
Anymore.
And if
It's
you
its
look
own
at the
thing.
lore of the Lord of the Rings, you would think that, oh, Sauron just calls for the ring to do his bidding, right?
Yeah.
The ring is completely submissive to Sauron. But in this story, in The One Ring Speaks, that's not true necessarily. It seeks its own power and dominion, and Sauron is basically a tool of the ring. And did you notice the part where it lands in Bilbo's hands?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the AI was trying to like interpret that, like why would a ring like that in this framework stay with Bilbo for 60 years? And the story kind of makes you believe that the ring was like puzzled. It was like surprised at just the peace and tranquility, and was almost like mesmerized or
Yeah.
kind of subdued by that.
I also like that he felt weak because he was far away from Mordor. So
Yeah.
he couldn't have as much power as he.
Why are you
Right.
gendering this inanimate object?
Sorry.
How do you know the ring is a he him?
Sorry, it's a habit. I'm so sorry. It could be a she, you know. It does
It
have
could
a
be.
hole. Sorry.
Yeah, what do you think the ring's gender is?
But then again, it could be a he because males have a reputation of being greedy.
But the ring,
I have no reply except laughter at that.
Anyways,
the ring was
Yeah,
going to pursue Gladriel's
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
It didn't mind
I
what
mean,
the gender was.
wouldn't it be great? Let's just say, okay, this is a what if scenario. Now that we're going into fan fiction portion, if Frodo didn't do it, wouldn't it be great if like elves shared it?
The One Ring?
Yeah,
Elves are good.
elves shared it. One like, okay, like I'm having too much. Here you go, and then they go back to Mordor and then they throw it away.
I think the power was just too significant. Like
Yeah.
any strong elf or king
Yeah.
could not resist that temptation of dominion, especially as the closer, like you said,
Yeah.
the closer and closer you get
That's
to
true.
Mordor, you just can't resist it
Yeah.
unless you're a hobbit, where
Yeah.
they only seek pleasure in the simplest of things. They have no
But
illusions of grandeur.
It is a sad story, and you can make an argument that Lord of the Rings is a cautionary tale because, in the end of the whole huge lore of Lord of the Rings, you feel bad for Frodo.
Oh yeah.
Frodo did everything to save the world, and in the end, he's the one who's suffering the most.
Yeah. But Samwise saved the world.
Well,
Frodo was
Samwise
along
too.
for the ride.
But Frodo really had to do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
Sam obviously, he pushed him, but I don't think Sam would have the courage, the heart that Frodo had.
Right.
Can I
handle
interject
the
here?
ring, so-
Because I feel like we could analyze the lore of Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
for
that's true.
hours.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you mentioned something that I wanna dig into a little more. You mentioned fan fiction, and I wonder if AI assisted fan fiction is like gonna replace handwritten fan fiction. I don't think it will for everyone. There's obviously people who just enjoy the act of writing. But what is the compelling part of writing for a person? Is it the act of doing it, or is it to feel like what compelled you? What was the most exciting part of this experience? Was it like reading the thing, or were you just amazed like a computer wrote this? Or Was it something you always wanted to read? What do you?
Well, I feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot, right? Because there is a lot of beauty in like having an idea and then crafting the idea, like putting in the effort. But this was just instant gratification. This was just like, oh, this would be cool. Let's see if we can make this. And then you just plug it in and boom, there it is. And it's really fun. You get a rush out of reading it. Yeah. And you're like, wow, that just came out of thin air.
And you're no stranger to the creative spark. You've made paintings. You've done darkroom photography. You've been an artist of many stripes. So this must have scratched the same itch in some way.
In some ways, but then you feel like you lost that opportunity, right? Like
you would have wanted to write this yourself.
Oh, but I don't know.
If you had the time and energy.
It probably would have never come to fruition. So what's the lesser of two evils?
How many times have you read it since it was made? Did you just read it once?
No, I've read it a few times. It's
more
fun
than
to
you've
read.
read.
It was pretty long.
Well, it's short, Yeah.
What
is it, 20 pages long?
It was only like 14 in
14
the document,
pages.
but they're like long, single-spaced, letter-sized pages.
Right.
And okay, I want to go to you now.
Oh, and the other fun thing is I threw it into a Kindle, which made it feel even more authentic to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels like a real thing. Like, it's like publishing your own book, but it was just AI software generating this thing that I wanted to read, plug it into a Kindle and be like, that just happened.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, Dylan wants to talk about me, which I'm not ready. But because I want to ask you this question, where did the idea came from? Do you know the moment where you had that eureka moment?
Oh, I mean, like any idea, it feels like a shower thought, where you're like, that would be cool. What's the Lord of the Rings like from the Rings perspective? Like, that sounds neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just wishing that people who are potentially listening to this could read it. Do you have any plans for distribution? This is a question for both of you, but like, would you put it online? Like, would you make it available in a link or something?
I guess I could.
Because people might be very curious to read what this.
We can maybe link it to this.
That's what podcast. I was thinking. If you're comfortable, I know you want to do a more formal publishing, so you probably won't share it for free.
Maybe I'll share like the first 2 chapters or something. But,
that sounds good.
I kind of wanted to ask you the same question I just asked Robert. Like, what was the gratifying part for you? I would just assume it was the writing part felt satisfying.
Yes and no. More than anything, it was very very annoyed. Like I took a whole evening to work on this, and I could only write 200 words. Like, what the freak? Like, I was just annoyed, and then time went by. I wrote more and more and more.
You got faster as you went.
Maybe I got faster, but like you have to trust the process. And
I do notice your first chapter is like the shortest, and they get longer. And towards the middle, then some are shorter, some are longer. But I like that it starts with a very like succinct, mysterious opening.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that too. A lot of people were. There was one person who told me he did not like the first. I mean, he did like the first chapter, but didn't consider it as chapter 1. Felt more like it was like a introduction or something, But
you sadly haven't read this yet. When you read it, if Oscar shares it with you, you're going to be taken on a journey. It goes some crazy places.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're a magical realist, true to your heritage.
Will
you explain the meme?
Okay, so a friend of mine shared this to me, and I'm thinking to myself, when I saw it, I was like, damn, is this true? Is this true? Remember that South Park scene where Eric Cartman wanted to start a Christian rock band, and he asked his black friend, what's his name?
I never watched South Park.
He asked his black friend to be the bass player. And the black friend says, I don't have a bass. And Eric Cartman says, for the love of God, you're effing black. You do have a bass. he found a bass. So he went to their Cartman's house and started playing, and he says, "Okay, give me a beat, give me a lick." And he says, "Dude, I don't know how to play bass." And Eric Cartman got angry again. He's like, "You're black, you know how to play bass." He started playing bass. He's like, "God damn it, you're right." He was getting very angry. So that's the origin of what I'm saying, right? So my friend sent me this. It's like, when every Latino writer wants to write, and the Latino writer's like, "I'm not a magic realist writer," and Eric Cartman says, "You're Latino, you are a magic realist writer." And then he starts writing. He's like, "God damn it, you're right." And when I saw that, I'm like, "Am I a magic realist?" So you finished it.
Yeah.
Would you say I am?
There's some. Well, I don't know the textbook definition of magical realism, but like realist with some surreal elements mixed in, you definitely fit that bill, whether you intended to or not.
I wanted to get the audience's attention. That's all I wanted to do. And also satisfy my urge too.
Yeah, and you wrote it the way, like, similar to how I like to make paintings, where you don't have like a plan necessarily, where when you start, you just start writing and the story takes on a life of its own. And I've heard a lot of writers, we both read the Stephen King On Writing, right?
Yeah.
Where I think he says this, like, he doesn't like to know where the characters are heading when he starts. You more like create the characters, create the setup, but then you just let it kind of evolve naturally, and that's the most, like, it surprises you as a writer.
Yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful way to make any sort of artwork.
It's funny you say that, because this new book that's coming out this year or next year, it's like the first time in a long time, maybe the first time, where he has it structured, like, puts point A, B, C, and D, like he knows what's going to happen before he starts writing it. So he's even challenging himself in those thoughts.
Yeah, you can't do the same procedure your whole career or your whole life. You'd get bored. Yeah, I switch it up sometimes. I sketch something and work from the sketch or work from a photo. Like, your next novel, you might outline the whole thing.
I don't know, dude. I don't even know what to write next.
I don't think you need to know.
Yeah,
I think it'll come to you. Inspiration will strike. But would you've been in the proofreading phase.
Yeah.
You finished the do you think you would get enjoyment out of just reading your own writing?
Yeah, I have. No, when I was sharing it to you and other people, God, this feels weird. I'm talking about myself. I feel like a narcissist, but I'm not. There are moments where I say to myself, "Holy shit, I wrote that."
Nice.
I fucking wrote that. Like, has there been moments where you painted something and you said that to yourself?
They're like fleeting, but yeah, you get those once in a while, and it's always gratifying. And then you go right back to the, like, critical eye that makes you hate everything. But
well, maybe you're kind of a nascent writer. You're new to writing generally, I would say, and I think if you're, like, I would say, a seasoned painter, and for me as a painter, if I make the right stroke and I'm like, wait, the illusion comes out, you do get that, like, I put that there, that kind of happened, and how do I, like, keep that, and how do I not break that illusion, right? I think that's kind of what you're mentioning too.
Exactly.
It's just like you write something, and if you're new at something, it surprises you.
Yeah, 100%.
And ideally, you never want to lose that feeling. I think you always want to set up a practice where you can be surprised by yourself. Otherwise, you're just working according to a formula, and a lot of artists do get to that point, especially if they're, like, commercially successful for a certain thing and they feel pressure to repeat that thing.
So does that mean what you're trying to say in simplistic terms is trying to feed your inner child?
Sure. Yeah.
Just like
children
Picasso.
Unlearn all the structures you've been forced to learn as an adult artist and just paint or, like, work from a totally innocent creative place.
So I think you're kind of pulling us into this conversation of reading your own writing versus reading an AI's writing. Do you get the same dopamine hit, right? Do you see the same, like, text and be like, wow, that either came from an AI and that's really cool and I prompted that? Do you feel that same thing, or do you get a different value of, like, hey, I wrote that and I'm reading it again and wow, that's really surprising me?
Yeah, I do see that. I get that point too.
I think
Yeah.
I think you win that round because I think
It's a competition.
but it's more valuable, right? To write something, to put in those
Yeah.
long nights where there's only 200 words.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you read it and you're like, wow, I wrote that.
Yeah.
That's an amazing piece of text.
I think the biggest reason why it took me so long to write, period, is because everywhere I hear from everyone who writes, they say you have to accept the fact that your first stuff is going to be horrible. And I didn't like that.
Right.
Because of that, I was like, what's the bother if it's going to be bad at the first place? But I just told myself, just keep on writing. Who cares? It's going to be bad. And I enjoyed the writing process and all that stuff. Maybe, like, I don't know, someone would read my stuff and will think it's bad because it's my first time and I missed certain, like, plots or something. But I think it's good for what it is. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like B.B. King, less is more, you know? Let your imagination fill the rest. Because, like, I just started reading Stephen King. Okay, so it's fun that you're mentioning him. He's a great writer. I do like how he writes a lot in trying to be descriptive. However, there are other authors who get way too descriptive to the point that you're just bored.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be that author, that writer, you know?
Right. You want it to have traction and move you through a story.
Yeah.
And if you're flying through a story, the scenery doesn't matter as much. You're kind of
Exactly.
in the plot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of like painting, right? You have to make the illusion, and you want the focus to be where it needs to be, and the rest is just supporting that focus.
I will say the AI writing is good at churning out like technically perfect prose that you kind of just like, it almost hypnotizes you. It's like no grammatical errors anywhere. Well, I'm sure there might be some sometimes, but for the most part, it's like flawless, pristine prose. Whereas in your writing, like there's occasional grammatical errors, but they give it character, and they make me think of like you as the author writing it. And
It's like Jack Kerouac, right? The scroll. There's all this like.
Well, didn't they
just-
say it was like toilet paper? Like he wrote on toilet paper?
No, it's a scroll.
Oh.
Right. It's a typewriter scroll.
Oh, okay.
He just kept writing, and then there's all the grammatical errors. You can see, like, one day he's probably, flying, and the other day he's going really slow and probably high one day and not the next.
I never read any Jack Kerouac.
What?
I never read any Jack.
Oh, yeah. I started, what's it called? On the Road? Yeah.
I read On the Road in high school. Maybe
I don't think I
same
finished
class.
it. Yeah.
That's Bob Dylan's favorite novel, right?
Who cares? I'm just kidding. That's a good fact.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
think
he
it
likes
is.
it. It sounds like the right time period. No, we love Bob Dylan around here,
I know.
but there's not much to say about him anymore. I'm sorry to say his new,
there's more to bring.
his current incarnation of his live act is.
Oh, you hate
rough.
it? It is rough.
I haven't
but
seen it,
It's an
but,
acquired taste. I sent you a TikTok.
I mean, I haven't seen it live. I've seen video.
Yeah.
And I have seen him recent enough that he sounded pretty much the same. And it was a disappointing concert.
Yeah. I still support him. It's weird. It's weird.
Of course. Yeah. And like speaking of getting dopamine from creative acts, there must be something in playing live that still gives him a rush, even though it's so different from him in his younger years.
It was especially now that he kind of like, it feels like it's a 9-to-5 job, but he still does it. Like,
it's that never-ending tour.
Yeah.
He never clocks out. Like Bob Weir.
Yeah.
We did see Dead and Company in Vegas. That was the reason we went. And you're a huge Deadhead. I'm new to the
thanks
fandom.
to you, Robert. Dylan's a deadhead now.
Yes.
I don't know
You're
if
next.
I can
No.
fully call myself one. I have a lot of big gaps in my knowledge that I would feel insecure wearing a Dead T-shirt at a event or something. But maybe one day. I'll
Yeah, I
get
think no one will judge you. I mean, the deadheads won't judge you.
They're all very
then
welcoming.
But then again, I wouldn't know.
You've said you don't really get down with their music.
I wish. This might sound like I'm copying someone, but like, I mean, they have a great fan base. let me take that back. I wish I liked a band so much that I could understand the fan base of that. Like, have that community. Like, the Dead have a community of a fan base.
Yeah, they're super nice people, but like
The Beatles doesn't have that kind of community, and I'm a huge Beatles fan.
I mean, of this era, there was like the whole Beatlemania,
Yeah,
right?
but then it's came and go. Like the Deadhead Fest, the
They're
community
fastidious.
is still here. You know, another one, Insane Clown Posse. That's a great community. I wish I can like that. You know.
Really, all I hear about Juggalos is that they're boisterous and like to drink Faygo. Is that the drink?
Yes, but I don't know if you heard, but like the founding members, I forget their names, but he told their fan base, like, if you are misogynist or mistreat women in any way, get the F out, and they changed their tune. So
good for them.
They're good people.
Yeah,
but I can't enjoy being the fan base, you know.
Well, you don't have to be in the group to enjoy the music. I mean,
and I can't enjoy the music.
Well,
I'm the weird one who enjoys their studio albums more than the live stuff. Like, I think American Beauty is a great album.
Yeah,
the first album, it's called Grateful Dead, right?
The first album, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. I forget the names of it. I like the one with the ice cream cone on the guy's head.
That's the Europe tour. That's live.
That's live.
72.
Then I'm confusing myself with the one with the skeleton.
Skulls and Roses?
Yeah. It's a whole skeleton, and and then there's roses around it. Isn't that Grateful Dead?
Yeah, but I think that's not a studio album either.
Okay, then maybe I just like American Beauty. That's it.
I mean, I kind of am with you on that. The live albums, I think they're great instrumentally most of the time, but sometimes I get really taken out of it by someone singing like out of tune live, which is totally understandable. Like it's the 70s. Yeah, what's her name?
Donna Jean Godcho.
Yeah, that like female vocalist they had in the 70s, pretty rough and way too loud in every mix.
What happened to her?
She's still here. She just doesn't. I think she started her own band with Keith, and then Keith died, and she kind of did her own thing. Okay. She did make guest appearances with Dead & Co. during their tours.
Oh wow,
that's cute.
Yeah, but not often. A couple times.
She's a great singer. She's just way too loud, and all the
mix. They just need to mix it better.
I love this because I gotta ask this question: who's your favorite guitarist of all the Deads? That includes Trey, that includes John, that includes...
But not Jerry? Like,
it includes Jerry. Includes all of them that
play obviously with Jerry.
Better than Trey?
Trey, I think Trey was a really not a great fit, honestly.
I heard that...
of the Dead iterations, like, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be Jerry.
Is Jerry? Okay.
John's up there, though.
John
This is what I want. This is what I want.
But John's good at certain things. I feel like
guitar. No, but he has a style that there's something of the 2000s soft adult contemporary pop rock that will always be in his playing,
right?
And it's very not Jerry Garcia,
right?
It's good, and it's technically very fluid, just like AI is technically perfect. He's like often sounds very perfect. And Jerry will often like miss a note live if you listen to the live albums.
Yeah, there you go.
They're playing.
John is the AI of the Dead.
Oh, Jerry is the old school.
Isn't it kind of amazing that artists and like athletes, human achievements in the arts and everything have gotten incredibly
better, competitive,
better than ever. But also AI is better than ever.
Yeah, and it's getting better. True.
And it's gonna eclipse even the best humans out there. But
I think there's gonna be a point where the humans, us, are be like, okay, we know that AI can be perfect. We don't want that anymore. We want the human condition. We want the mistake because that's what makes us human and makes us like each other more.
We want John Henry passing out at the end of his creative act and giving it his all and still being imperfect.
Yeah, because no matter what, the human has heart while AI doesn't. But the AI is freakishly scary getting close to that.
And
Yeah.
and AI is also freakishly scary at getting close to having a heart.
Oh,
Yeah, what do you guys make of all these stories of people falling in love with AI
Yeah.
chatbots?
I heard about that, man. That's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad and scary, but if it's the only sense of companionship and love these people feel in their lives, is
a
it the
fair
worst thing?
substitute? I don't know.
Especially if the world keeps progressing the way it is and we get more isolated and climate change and
It reminds me, like the Blade Runner movie or the movie Her.
yeah.
Blade Runner was great.
Yeah.
So you thought it was okay when Ryan Gosling had his AI girlfriend?
No,
Well, he's an
I'm
android
saying
too.
the movie is great. 2049 is great. I like it better than the first one.
Yeah, the first one I think is great visuals and great world building, but not a great
Yeah,
paced
I
movie.
think it's okay.
But back to that
Yeah.
AI question, like that relationship seemed kind of beautiful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, because they are both synthetic at the end of the day.
at the end of the day, gosh, yeah. That's
But
even
what if
harder, but
we're synthetic.
yeah.
This could all be a simulation, but let's not get into that.
Should have to that.
I
Go
No,
ahead.
you go.
Circling back to what we have now with AI, you said it was like grammatically perfect. But what you had mentioned when you read it for the first time, you had mentioned that you thought that you could detect the AI in the writing. You said you thought you saw like short sentences with lots of descriptions or commas.
yeah.
And then there's like the whole thing about the Oxford comma. If you see an Oxford comma in a writing, then it's like a dog whistle that is an AI writing. If
I
nobody
use
uses-
Oxford commas.
I
Yeah.
love being
If I'm making a list, I'll use a comma before the and.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I was taught was correct in like middle school. So I've never dropped the habit.
Well, you're more elite.
I'm more AI.
The elite.
Yeah, I thought about how I told you that when I first read it, and I think I was just so sleep deprived and kind of loopy that it bothered me more than it should have. Because reading it again this week, I wasn't bothered by the sentence structure. I found it flowed well, and I also thought maybe it's how Tolkien wrote, but I don't remember. I haven't read actual Tolkien. I meant to brush up on like just his writing style, but I didn't get around to it.
But the flip side of that coin is if I handed that to you and said, read this, you would never assume.
Yeah, if you said you wrote it, I'd be like, damn.
Yeah.
You popped off on this short story. I was curious about one thing, and if people find the text and read it, they'll know what I'm talking about. There's little parenthetical, almost stage direction.
What was that about?
I did not put that. I didn't prompt that. That was the AI, and obviously I left
It
it.
felt nice.
Did it?
Like, yeah.
I thought that was
It
weird
gave a different
It
attitude.
is weird.
Yeah.
because it was like, this is not stage directions. It's supposed to be written in terms of like a short story.
Was maybe AI helping you write this? Is like,
Ah.
boom, here's what we think we should write. Use this.
It was trying to
and then go ahead.
collaborate.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
like,
trying to
yeah,
collaborate. Yeah.
It
But
wanted
I was
you to
like,
do
no,
more.
do all of it.
Yeah. Kind of like how you two had that. I gave out the idea and you used AI when I said, imagine if the Grateful Dead covered Smashing Pumpkins
Yes.
Silverfuck.
And
then
this is
you
what I
put-
was about to get
yeah,
into.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. And I think, did we do it? Did we throw something in?
Yeah, and I gave you a response.
It was
on how
kind
to
of
do
fun to look at.
it. Yeah.
And I was thinking about this too for songwriting. If you get like a writer's block or you want to write a song and then you just prompt AI to do it,
Yeah, it does help. It does give you some good ideas. You're like, you never thought of it that way.
but then it feels inauthentic.
Yeah, it's like not your idea anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
And the
sad.
idea is almost the most important part to come from a human. And you had the idea to write
Right.
from the perspective of the ring, So that's why I would give you authorship of this.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think I would. I wouldn't give myself authorship because I feel like I relinquished that by telling the AI to do it. It's almost like
True.
selling my idea and then to a ghostwriter.
Yeah, it is like the world's most powerful subservient ghostwriter. You don't even need to pay it. It just does
Right.
it. You're bidding for free. And that's where all disciplines are heading towards. We're all going to have these ultra powerful ghostwriters or ghost painters or ghost video producers in our pockets.
Right. But then if I have a really good idea and I'm tempted to throw it into AI, then I just wasted that idea, I feel like.
Yeah,
Because then if I read whatever it spat out, that forever influences my creative direction.
Is that maybe why you made basically a fan fiction as this project instead of, you didn't like sit down like Oscar to write like totally personal original story? Well, personal, it's not autobiographical, but it's like that came from you, and it's a lot of like ideas that I can tell are things you think about, like socio-political ideas. And
Was there socio-political ideas?
there's some sprinkles of it here and there.
Where?
I mean, the whole backstory of Amanda's family.
Yeah,
can-
you're right. I see,
people
this is
know
why-
when they read it.
This is the beauty of it. I don't even notice that I'm doing this stuff, and I am.
Oh, there's a lot. It's very like worldly, but through your lens, and I think that's what art should be at the end of the day. But what art is like rapidly changing.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if you
true.
all feel this way, but I feel like the goalposts have lurched 2 miles down outside the football stadium, and like I don't know where we're heading.
Man, but this is the sad part of AI. Like, what isn't AI supposed to make our lives easier by helping us make our jobs better or something? That way we have time to do art. But
Yeah.
now AI is doing our art.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
people say that same sentiment. Like
Yeah.
the art was a thing that we were supposed to hold on to, but if people want to just have like personalized art
They can do it
for
themselves.
free, basically, and they can just spit it out and go about their day, who are we to stand in the way?
That's true.
If it makes people happy. And ideally, it'll only make the people who really make art for personal reasons and like some personal satisfaction, it'll only make that more valuable because it's more rare. And it's less of a commodity.
Right. I think you're right. I think you are right, and that's the most hopeful way to put it, is that we will just value human artists that much more. And in the future, yes, a lot of things will be done by AI, but hopefully the things that matter, the things that are valuable to us, are going to be things that are held on to by humans. But there are already like things that AI can do that we can't do, right? Because it has such processing power. It can push us into ways where we won't have to necessarily rely on just human willpower to get something done, when an AI could do that much faster. Like, for example, I think, did we discuss this before about protein folding and how AI was able to basically understand the structure of pretty much every protein that exists in the world in a matter of like
Demis Hassabin from Google. I think Google did
Google,
that, right?
yeah. And if it weren't for that, we wouldn't be basically 5 to 10 years down the road from where we are now if we had just tried to continue to just use regular computing power and humans to try to elicit the structures of proteins. So AI can kind of help speed things along, speed progress along. But yeah, why are we demonstrating AI's power using art? But it's the most visible thing for the world to kind of be able to see. And it all started from just a large language model, right? And it's kind of just ballooned out from that.
I want to add that and put this to that there's that intellectual property war that we're experiencing right now from AI, with the U.S. trying to privatize AI versus China trying to make it public. so anybody can do it. And also China noticed like, hey, AI can be an energy waster, but we found ways to make it good. Like we don't waste that much energy, and the U.S. doesn't like that. So there's a fight between U.S. and China because of that as well.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still do worry about the energy costs. Like I say,
Yeah.
I feel guilty if I hit that button. So
But then
I
again,
try
like-
to avoid it.
I don't use AI, but I use Google. Like that's basically the same thing.
But I don't. That's the thing that I want to know is how much energy am I actually using when I have to make a large language model
Yeah.
do my bidding, right?
But okay, this is my other question because I don't use AI. But which one's your AI to go to? Like ChatGPT, Gemini, or is it SeekGeek? What's the one from China? Like
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I
Let me
forget.
think. I downloaded it, but I never used it.
I've never used ChatGPT. I've only used whatever Google
DeepSeek.
offered.
DeepSeek.
Oh, DeepSeek. Okay.
DeepSeek.
I've only used what Google offers
Yeah.
because I'm an Android.
Yeah.
So
What's your phone? Your
I have a OnePlus, so it's a Chinese phone.
Oh, look at that! I got a Google Pixel.
Yeah, that's probably my next phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from here.
Well, okay, I'll help you out. You brought up your iPad for a reason. What is that for?
I had some notes on there about both of your texts, but I think I had a good enough memory that I covered most of those things.
See the benefits of not using your
Overconsumpting.
not using your ice skates. Ice skating. Benefits of not ice skating.
That too. I think it makes me have to pee less during the podcast.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Question regarding that. What is the amount of ounces that a kidney can take?
The amount of ounces,
Ounces.
that what?
A kidney can take.
I don't know.
I was wondering about
You mean
that.
like the bladder?
The bladder, yeah, the bladder. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've seen some insanely distended bladders that, like, if you get a urinary obstruction,
Yeah.
you could fill liters and liters. Like when you have to unobstruct somebody, I've done that in the ER, and oh man, it's liters. You're like, where did it all come from?
He was holding it in. He was holding it in.
Wow.
Painfully holding it in. That's the most relief I've ever seen somebody have.
It's like
Getting.
it's like it was better than an orgasm. I'm
Yeah, I have had thoughts when I'm have to walk a long distance and I already have to pee. When you get there and the relief you feel, it's one of the best feelings in
Don't
life.
you hate this though? It's a cold day, -10 outside. You don't feel like you need to pee until you go inside. And then you got to go to the bathroom ASAP and you're like, oh God, that felt great. But then you think to yourself, I was holding it in for this long? I didn't know I was holding it in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Like when you go into a building or you go home, you arrive home, your body just automatically knows. You know where the bathroom's at. We're going there now.
Yeah, let's go, buddy.
So weird. Yeah.
Makes you wonder who controls who. The body controls you, or you control the body.
I don't think I've ever experienced this phenomenon. You have the urge to pee less when you're cold?
No. Well,
Yeah, but
And
once you
it's
go
not a-
inside, you gotta pee. You need to pee.
it doesn't
Oh,
really matter
never
about the
noticed
temperature
that.
to me. It's like
Really, for me, it does.
no. For me, it's like as soon as I arrive to my humble abode.
So even if it's a
I
hot
have to-
summer day.
Yeah, I've got
Okay.
I've got to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Huh, I guess we're different. Oh, since we're talking about
It's
differences.
the cordyceps controlling.
Since we're talking about differences,
Last of Us?
I found this out that I think will blow people's minds. When you close your eyes, do you see black or do you see like colors, like shapes and all that stuff? Like, you know how Microsoft, the screensaver, you see those things? Which one do you see?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
Like you mean like when you're falling asleep?
Yes, when you're falling asleep and there's no lights.
Yeah.
Do you see black or do you see those things?
It used to be more prominent when I was younger. I would see lots of blues and
Yeah.
greens,
Yeah.
and sometimes I would just stare at that for
Yeah.
about like hours.
Well,
but
I-
then as I'm older, it's like gray, black, go to bed.
I found out that 70% of people only see black. 30% see what you see.
Really?
And I see that. So I found I was like, oh, I guess I'm part of the 30%.
Oh man,
It's crazy, right?
Lefties.
And we're lefties too, right? That's good.
Do you think it's the left side of my brain? Maybe I
could
wonder.
be.
But is that about the right? That's the percentage. 30% of people are left-handed,
I
right?
thought it was 10%.
10. Oh,
I could be
sure.
wrong. Do you experience that? Do you see
I
black?
was just trying to think. I don't even know. Right now, I close my eyes and these lights are aimed at me, so I'm
Yeah,
seeing
that's
colors.
just red.
But
Yeah.
in bed at night, I don't even really like think about what I'm seeing.
You can kind of make it happen. This is not a medical suggestion. If you like press your eyes, you can see colors.
Yeah. I do see colors.
Don't press too hard.
Yeah, don't do that.
The AI will never be able to replicate all this.
Give it 2 months.
But I don't know if that's the same phenomenon or not.
Yeah.
Well, I think we kind of covered all the main talking points I wanted to. I have no idea how long we've been going, but this was kind of like a little quick topic to get us back in the swing of doing podcasts again. So
Perfect.
maybe we'll reconvene when we have more thoughts to share about what AI is in a couple months. This is not going to become an AI podcast. I don't care about it that much, but I do think about it a lot these days. And actually, I wanted to shout out this one YouTube comment I got on my my like personal art account. Someone was like, I made a short about AI and art, and someone was mentioning how they have been also using it to write short stories, where they were like, I used to love writing stories or drawing, but now I think, what's the point? Because the AI stories and artwork are so much better.
What's the point? That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of said that in the reel they were commenting on too, so they were kind of like piggybacking on my sentiment, but I do feel that way. I feel like something kind of has been robbed of the thing I've spent my life developing. Like, it was to make images that are not already existing, and now you can prompt them in 2 seconds and they look amazing.
But the thing is, you use your subconscious to draw whatever it can when AI can't do that. And you mentioned that in one of your other reels, but piggybacking to what you say, I feel the same way about music. Like, what's the point of doing music since everything has been done and everything has been saturated?
But it's never true. It's not finite, right?
It's true.
You can always bring something new, right? And okay, what about this? What if instead of AI able to generate all of these things, you have an infinite number of people? Obviously, you're going to generate the same number of material out there. Does that make your work any less valuable? No.
Right. But there's a difference if we're all in the same playing field of being humans using, all humans are all different, so it's not a level playing field, but AI is something different in the equation.
But do you judge the work on its own, or do you judge it by a different metric? Does it have merit because it was just generated versus painted?
If it's based solely on merit, AI wins.
That's not true, though, because, okay, if you're really going to judge these two works, I want to see the originals.
Like a digital file doesn't count?
That doesn't count. Was your original work?
Actually, okay, there's this professor at SAIC who I ran into him in the hallway earlier, and he said something really profound. He was like, I was talking to him about AI, and he said, the AI will never have like the fine motor skills to hold a paintbrush and do all the things that a human artist does, no matter how good it gets. He was pretty confident about this.
Never.
I feel like it could eventually get there, but I think about what I do when I'm painting, and a lot of it's so like subtle and so like just like things that these 5 digits and like so many infinite ways of holding a brush and mixing color that are pretty far beyond the scope of like a robot arm to make a physical artwork. But a digital image is just ones and zeros, and they look fucking incredible. An AI can make literally the most gorgeous image you've ever seen. There was an amazing Reddit
But you
thread
can't go
recently.
there. You can't hold it. You can't,
Right. Yeah. The physical
beauty
thing.
in the physical realm doesn't equate to digital beauty, right? It's like going to Yellowstone versus seeing Ansel Adams, right? Even that difference is substantial.
But Ansel Adams was a film photographer or
Yeah.
tin type, but no, he used film. He's not like
I
1800s.
think he used large format film, but
Okay.
yeah.
Those are, that's art. That's physical media.
Right. But now I'm equating it to the physical realm, right?
Yeah,
Actually going to
do you
Yellowstone.
think people had that argument, like seeing the real thing versus film?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, this is
And where we could basically like memorizing the same argument.
Yeah. And people said the same thing about when, like, wasn't it Aristotle or Socrates or something who was like, I'm not going to write things down because my memory is better or something. Like, it'll make me not use my memory if I use
I can see Socrates
the written
saying
world.
that.
One of those
That's
Greek
why
philosophers.
Socrates never wrote anything.
Yeah, he had all his students write down.
Plato wrote everything. There's a theory that Plato that Socrates doesn't exist because Plato wrote him. Like Plato wrote him as a fictional character. Again, it's a theory. So
he Platorized.
yeah, that's a good one.
That is
That's a good one. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess final thought. I just want to put this out there for all the AI haters out there. It's not that I support AI, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's here to stay. And people who are like trying to shame people into not using it, it's a losing battle. And you're not going to change people's mind, or not enough people's minds when something's so powerful and so like accessible. So I just want to see like the knee-jerk like hate comments on anything that has the remotest AI connection.
Does this sound like you
Stop.
miss having hate comments on YouTube?
No, that was one of the most stressful experiences I've had on the internet in my life. Is
Was
when
it
we were
the
getting
Steely
lots
Dan?
of hate.
Started with
Steely
Steely
Dan
Dan.
was a hot topic, but then we did a reaction to Bandmade, Japanese
yeah.
metal
Oh.
band, and hundreds of haters. And
But at least we got like over 6,000 views.
I think it was like 8,000.
Yeah.
Not as
There's
much
that.
as Ariel Camacho, though.
Yeah, but it's
Or
good.
was
Yeah.
it that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for having this discussion with
Thank
me.
you.
Definitely. Thank you for thinking of this.
This is fun.
Yeah, I hope someone out there found that interesting, and we will see you in the next chapter. Anything you want to say? Do you want to take us out, Oscar?
No, toodles, and thank you for watching. As they say, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment.
This camera, that camera, that camera. Show the people tell the people where to find you. Have you watched First We Feast? Hot Ones?
Yes, I love that.
That's how Sean.
Congratulations, you did it.
We should have been
now.
eating our spicy pizza while.
This
Sure,
was the
yeah.
ODcast.
Boom. It was the Rodcast.
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 Or the Drocast.
Drodcast.
Ordcast.
Ord. O-R-D.
Oh, like O'Hare.
Airport.
Oh, snap. We're from Chicago.
Ordcast.
Yeah, O-R-D.
ORD.
Even though we're closer to Midway.
Ordcast.
Did I say too much?
Yeah, don't dox our location. We're recording at an undisclosed location.
You should beep what I said, just so we don't.
No, I don't care.
All right, well, toodles.
This is the ODcast.
Hey, yo, this is the ODcast. Hey, yo, this is the ODcast. Hey, yo, this is the ODcast. Hey, yo.
This is the ODcast, yo.